Hello, one and all! This is my review, reaction, and cut content discussion of Dr. Stone's Science Future Part 2, Episode 5. And first off, apologies, this video is very late, and as you might have noticed, I fully skipped Episode 4. There is a reason for that. Basically, I've been on vacation the last 2 weeks, so I missed the last 2 episodes, and I was planning on just fully skipping them and starting over fresh with Episode 6, until I realized, oh, Episode 5 is going to have that scene and that ending. And at that point I realized, oh, I can't skip it. There is no way on God's green earth I cannot do a video on this episode. So here I am, very late. Apologies for missing out on Episode 4, but hopefully Episode 6 will be out roughly on time. We'll see what happens this week. Anyway, though, let's get started. This episode is probably going to cover Chapter 179 and 180. 2 of my favorite chapters in this series. I know I say that a lot, but seriously, these 2 are so fantastic, and I'm so glad to be covering them. So let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Oh, they can. Sorry, Stanley, they absolutely can keep running. I know you've got a plane with guns on it, but these kids, they have science on their side. And friendship. They also have the power of friendship. Yeah, that is a pretty large obstacle they have to overcome. Mountain climbing. That is insane. Genuinely insane. Actually, on my vacation, I was visiting the Swiss Alps, and it's pretty similar in height, and it is terrifying from the top. Great view, but still terrifying. Yeah, that's a very good point. Once they're actually, in the freaking trees, Stanley can't do a whole lot. Stanley probably won't even be able to find them. Yes, he is a God-class sniper, but still, that is a lot of trees, and the best he could do is probably just take, random shots if he sees some movement, but that could be monkeys, that could be any number of things, and he wouldn't really be able to say for certain that he's not shooting at Xeno when he does. 3D maneuvering gear? Are they going all Attack on Titan? They aren't, but that would be completely hilarious. Okay, they're doing a ropeway. Not as impressive as the 3D maneuvering gear in Attack on Titan, but still, pretty freaking impressive. Yeah, you don't want to fall. You'll die. You'll 1,000,000% die. Yeah, that's superpowers. That's full-up superpowers right there. I mean, technically, there is some sort of explanation through physics where something like this is kind of possible, but no. There is no way you could cross a gap this long. In fact, it actually looks even longer than it does in the manga with such precise accuracy. Seriously, imagine if Kohaku mistimed that jump or underestimated something and just end up smacking face first into the mountain. That would be hilarious and fatal. Yeah, seriously, that is such a further distance than it looks in the manga. And of course she gives them that look because, yeah, this is easy for her. Yeah, I know, this is her whole thing, oh, I'm super strong because I brought a pot of hot water back and forth from the village every day to keep my sister, healthy, and that did work, and it was a great workout, but that doesn't mean she can fly. Huzzah! That's a bullseye right there. Now they just need to, cross a rope bridge. Easy! Yes, Senku has just reinvented the landline. Huzzah! Good for him. Yeah, for some reason she does not like being described as a lioness. Honestly, I think that's way better than calling her a gorilla, but still. Hey, they have a ropeway. They have a gondola, basically, which for the record is how I got up the Alps last week. It was, fairly terrifying. Not my first time doing it, but still pretty freaking terrifying as you go very high very quickly. And for some added terror, about 70% of the way up, the gondola just fully stopped to let somebody off. Yes, apparently there were stops on the way up in case you wanted to get out and I guess walk the rest of the way. It was completely wild. I love that Taiju's like, hey, I'm the muscles. That is my role in this entire team. So therefore, that's what I should be doing right now when they've pretty much moved past the use of manpower and can now just automate basically everything they do. Yeah, let's not forget, Zeno is still trying, he's still their hostage. He is not their friend or their ally. So if they leave him behind with someone like Suka or Chrome or someone who's not a particularly good fighter, he'll just, knock them over and run away and wait for Stanley to come rescue him. So they really need to figure this out. Oh god, I know. I know he's evil, but still, beating up Suka like that, the poor little child, that's mean. That is so mean. Again, I know this is an illustration, but I feel like somebody should punch Zeno just because they think he'd do something like this. Oh, I love this riddle. We actually got it in, I think, like 5th grade. The teacher told to us, and none of us could figure out the solution. I told it to my mom and a coworker of hers, like, last month or something. And within 5 to 10 minutes, they texted me back with the right solution. They figured it out almost immediately. They figured it out so quickly, I assumed they had just Googled the answer, but no. They had to actually figure it out on their own, despite both of them really sucking at riddles. I love that the corn cob is actually shaking here. I mean, you can see it shaking a little bit in the manga, but here he's just so utterly terrified of the chicken. Chicken, meanwhile, does not seem all that worried about the fox who might eat it. Yeah, let's not forget, Hyoga is a murderer. He not only tried to kill Tsukasa and pretty much basically did kill him, they had to freeze him to bring him back to life, but also he killed a bunch of his men back when they were first raiding Ishigami Village, and then framed Senku for doing it. Yeah, so that is a real concern. If Zeno and Hyoga are left alone, they can basically just, run away. They wouldn't get very far, but Stanley and his crew are closing in on them, so they could get, far enough away where they could get rescued by Stanley, and then that's it for the Kingdom of Science. They're basically everyone that Senku and his team left behind would become full-on hostages, and they would be forced to surrender, or they could be hurt. I mean, right now they have, Zeno, so if Stanley's people hurt any of Senku's people, they can just hurt Zeno, but if they lose Zeno, that's bad. That's very, very bad, and just completely destroys the very, very delicate balance the two sides have right now. Yes, apparently they have not filled good old Chelsea in on everything. Yeah, girl, this team, they came together in a very awkward and messed up way. I love this chart. I absolutely love this chart so much. Right here, Jen is being basically dragged into the crafting team because he's one of them. Not really because he is all that skilled at crafting, but mostly just because, he usually doesn't have a lot of other skills he can use while they're in the middle of the build, so he's forced to do repetitive labor over and over and over again. And yeah, okay, so Hyoga killed Tsukasa. Tsukasa killed Senku. He broke his neck and then they revived him. Senku killed Tsukasa by freezing him after he'd already been stabbed by Hyoga. Zeno killed Senku when he ordered Stanley to shoot him. And Kohaku just completely and absolutely loves good old Suka. Meanwhile, Luna loves Senku, and Carlos and Max both love Luna. And over here, Ryu and Francois are in their own little bubble, part of the Nanami Corporation. I love the fact that, he went out of his way to explain their relationship as just fully separate from everyone else's. Meanwhile, Yukio is even more unique. He is fully and completely on his own. He's not part of any team. Also, I do want to point out that while Kawaku doesn't have an arrow to Senku, her eyes are focused on him in this chart. And the bottom of the chart is mostly focused on people who are in love, so I'm not going to say it's ship confirmed, but it's clear Kawaku does have some very strong feelings for the man, and I do think this chart is hinting at that. Though I may be reading way too much into this. I often do. Also, you can even see that there are some cracks in Luna's love arrow to Senku. Her love for him is starting to fall apart because, yeah, she realized that Senku may not actually be her boyfriend. Oh, poor Luna. I mean, I know that's a risk. I know that's like, oh, right over the limit for what would break the cable. But at the same time, I have to imagine that Senku's estimate was at least a little bit conservative. Like, there's no way it's like, oh, at exactly 160 kilograms, this cable is gonna break. I'm sure it can handle 4 extra kilograms and still be fine. Yeah, thankfully Hyoga weighs a little bit less than the rest of the battle team, as he's more focused on agility than pure raw muscle, but that is exactly what they did not want to happen. Senku, meanwhile, he trusts him. He fully trusts Hyoga not to betray them. Because let's not forget, that's still, I think, top 3 moments in the series for me. When Senku decided to wake Hyoga back up, he listened to him. Hyoga said dodge to the left, and Senku did it without blinking, without hesitating, without an ounce of doubt. He trusted Hyoga, and that trust has largely paid off since. Hyoga has been on his very best behavior. You think they'd be a little bit more terrified over how insanely high they are. I certainly was on the gondola in the Swiss Alps. Oh god, they're adorable together. Oh, I love those two. Yeah, nobody's freaked out so far. They're all just loving the ride. Good for them. Except these two. They are fully and completely stone-faced, and they might be having any sort of conversation in this moment. And, oh god, I love her so much. She's so enthralled by all of this. But once again, we are going to see that Carlos and Max, they kinda suck. Seriously, dudes, your job is to, make sure you get across safely with Suka. You're supposed to be protecting Suka here. Remember that. I will also say wind on a gondola is terrifying. It wasn't too bad this last time for me, but I've been on it before where it really shakes and it is terrifying. Utterly and absolutely terrifying. Seriously, and guys, protect the girl. Don't worry about yourselves. You have your legs locked into place. You'll be fine. Protect the goddamn child. Yeah, seriously. If Kwaku didn't go to rescue her and she had died, I'm pretty sure Carlos and Max would have been fully murdered in the very next scene for letting her fall. And that's a look of terror. That's a look of terror right there. She's not letting and she's not letting anything happen to her little sister. That is, like I said, this is a superhero show. Kawaku is a goddamn superhero, and she would fully fit in UA Academy over in My Hero Academia. I don't even know how much of that is physically possible. It all felt pretty insane to me. Yeah, right now, the only battle team members on the other side are goddamn Hyoga, meaning he can do whatever the freak he wants. He could throw everybody off this cliff and make a run for it with Zeno until Stanley shows up to save them. That look in his eyes, that look that says, I'm about to murder you. Except instead he just offers her a freaking hand. Oh, I love it. Yeah, he's on board. He's with the Kingdom of Science. He's not going to turn his back on them right now because I think he realizes, like, okay, if I were to join Zeno's team, I'd be on the bottom of that totem pole. I would have no respect, no authority. No one would trust me. Seriously, would you trust someone who turned traitor and betrayed everyone to join your side? No, of course not. So Hyoga has, decided to put his money in with Team Senku. He believes in them. He believes they are the smarter choice right now. I love this. I forgot about this part right here, honestly. Oh god, good for you, Chelsea. Seriously, good for you. Though, just a warning, Hyoga has a kinda sorta girlfriend who is going to get very jealous if she hears you saying that. Oh, even if we're all friends, the relationship diagram, you really get along well. This is funsies! In the manga, she actually says, consider me a Hyoga fan. And honestly, I am too. I feel like Hyoga has some of the best moments in the series because despite how awful and evil and murdery he is, he still, really steps up when it counts. It would be hilarious if Chelsea was wrong. They got over the mountains and there was nothing. Just a vast, empty desert wasteland for miles and miles and miles. Then there would be nowhere for them to go. But thankfully, Chelsea is a girl who not only has memorized the world, but understands the world and how it functions. There it is. The Amazon. They've made it to the goddamn freaking Amazon. Good for them. Yeah, call it a narrow victory all you want. You have been chasing these kids, these science club kids, for weeks at this point, and you still have not gotten even close to catching them. Again and again, they've managed to outsmart you, outmaneuver you, and just beat you in every single category. So, yeah, sorry man, you're kind of losing here. Though, that being said, these are, trained freaking soldiers, so of course they had another reason for chasing after them so quickly. They wanted to see the tracks. They wanted to see exactly where they entered the Amazon so they could figure out, okay, which direction are they going, which paths are they likely to take, and work out things from there. So they still have a clue. They still have a lead of some sort, but I mean, for now, Senku's doing better than them, I'd say. Also, can you even really call it an escape route? They're going towards destination. They have a plan in mind while they are running away from you. I wouldn't really say the route they're following is their escape route. I'm sure there'd be better paths they could follow if they just wanted to, not get killed by you. But here they're going towards an actual goal. I mean, that being said, they're like, alright, we've done it, but they've crossed this little bit of a distance, and they still need to cross almost half the freaking continent. That is going to take quite a while, even on motorcycles. Oh god, she looks so freaking adorable in her boots. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Also, oh, interesting. So for the record, there was a much bigger, much more focused shot in the manga of Kohaku in her boots, because of course there was. We all know Boichi's style at this point, though I also found it funny that, we can see a bit here, but also in the manga, the boots, there's still a lot of skin exposed. I feel like if they were really focused on avoiding being bitten by insects, they'd cover a bit more than what they are currently covering. Like full rubber suits instead of just boots going halfway up the leg. That is a very, very big snake. Though I think it might have actually been bigger in the manga. No, okay, that's about how big it looked in the manga. This thing is a freaking monster. Thankfully though, snake meat tastes just like chicken, or so I've been told. Yeah, again, they talk about how dangerous the mosquitoes are, and they still have, Kohaku and boots that only go halfway up the leg. Girl, you're showing way too much skin for a trek into the Amazon. Yeah, seriously, this dude who just fought off a giant snake and can murder a lion with his bare hands. He is pretty freaking strong. I love the high five. I love the high five. Insect repellent. Huzzah! An absolute must in the Amazon. Actually, not even an insect repellent. It's kind of an everything repellent because now that they smell like army ants, nobody's gonna want to get anywhere near them. everything in the Amazon knows that the army ant is an absolute killer and something to be avoided. Yeah, well, not as bad as drinking it, Luna is still very averse to bugs and to being covered in what is basically bug juice. And she's down for the count. Yeah, unsurprising. Absolutely unsurprising. That feels a bit too wild. The rapids feel a bit too strong for beginners to transport motorcycles down it. Seriously, at least one of those should flip over and seriously cost them some resources and maybe kill someone. It really feels like this should not be survivable. Yeah, they are literally looking for a needle in a haystack. If there was one Medusa here that petrified the entire planet, then it could be anywhere. It could be buried after 3,000 freaking years. There could be absolutely nothing left for them to find at the source of the petrification, which would be just so bad for them. January 5742. I love they have a calendar. It feels so modern. It feels like at the point where you have a calendar with days of the week, that's when you can say that you've re-entered the modern day. Also, I did not do a video last week, or in the last episode, so I just want to mention, I was not expecting Joel to have such crazy red hair. Also, this dude is just so freaking intense, seriously. It almost feels like they upped it by an insane degree from the manga. Really do love him as a character, though. He's awesome. Okay, so some time passed, because at the start of this whole series of clips, it was like the 4th or the 5th, and now it's the 30th. So they spent almost an entire month trekking through the Amazon. That sounds about right. That sounds like a reasonable amount of time to cross a freaking continent on rafts, I guess. I've never had to do that myself. There we go. There we go. My girl right there. Oh, I love that. I love that shot where you can see her eye going through the glass. That is so cool. Yes, she did it. She found it. She found the Medusa that petrified the entire freaking planet. Good for her. I mean, she's always had insane luck, but that is pretty good. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Even Zeno is in shock at what he's looking at right here. Senku can't... Good Lord above. A mountain of Medusas, a mountain of petrification devices, a mountain of death machines, basically. I mean, they speculated before, like, oh, they probably launched like a couple dozen or maybe even a couple hundred of these things to make sure that humanity was really turned to stone through a multi-stage attack, but this is beyond that. This is infinitely beyond that. It is a mountain. It is a mountain of death. Seriously, the scale of this is just mind-bending right here. This is a freaking mountain! It's a freaking mountain of space-age, super high advanced technology. Sickening yet beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. Seriously. Look at this. A shining mountain of Medusas. God, I screamed. I screamed when I first read this chapter in the manga. It was just so unexpected. There's so many of them. There are millions, probably millions of these things all stacked here, all just waiting for someone to discover them again after 3,000 freaking years. Thank God. They're actually going out of their way to explain the solution to the riddle, which I would appreciate, but also just feels like such a weird way to end things after, you know, the whole mountain of death we just saw. Alright, next time, Diamond Heart. So that's gonna get really at the source of the Medusas, of what they are, how they work, all that. Can't wait to see it, but I gotta go back. I gotta take another look at the mountain of death we just saw. It's just so shiny. Like, we could see it shining in the manga too, but it just did not really get across how glittering this is. It is gold, it is treasure, it is death, it is all of those things at once. And it is so tall. Oh my, it feels several times taller than it was in the manga. I mean, the shots are basically the same, but it just feels bigger, it feels more massive, it feels just so overwhelming, and I love it. Alright, so yeah, next chapter they need to deal with the fact they now have an almost limitless number of the Medusas, the death rays of all of that, and, you know, what they should do with it from now on, because that's a question right there. Oh, I loved it. Also did love I love that Hyoga got a shout out this episode, because, you know, he proved that he is squarely on Senku's side, despite the fact that he murdered Senku, as Chelsea just found out. He has chosen his side, and he's not gonna turn his back on them because he believes this is the right move. He believes in the Kingdom of Science to the point where he's willing to offer up a hand when they need him, even when he has the opportunity to do something, to get something better, to run away, to flee, to turn his backs on them and join a side that's is more willing to let him embrace his bloodlust and his weird ideology. But yeah, please let me know down below. What do you think of this episode? What do you think of Carlos and Max letting Suka fall to her almost death? What do you think of Kwaku's nearly superhuman feats? They are fully superhuman. What do you think of Hyoga actually risking out a hand to help her back up? And what do you think of this goddamn mountain of death? All these Medusas. I love it. I absolutely love it, but please let me know all down below. And until next time, peace!